there's always going to be resistance to change, particularly when that change comes in the form of black and brown faces or a multiracial coalition, multi religious coalition. But I think it's a glorious time that we're living in, despite all the challenges with COVID and obviously this massive tug of war with these white supremacists. But I'm not gonna let everybody forget the fact that we have a black woman that, and South Asian woman, I give her credit for that too, you know, that is going to be the most powerful woman in the history of this country. She's going to be doing a lot of work breaking ties in the Senate. And I think we're really much more equipped than I expected us to be because, I mean, pulling
Yeah,
off 2 seats in Georgia is a miracle.
that's
Okay.
unheard
It's fantastic. And, you know, I have to tip my hat to the organizers, particularly the Black organizers like Latasha Brown, Stacey Abrams, spent a decade registering voters. Keisha Lance Bottom had a Battleground Georgia project. I don't know everybody's name, so whoever I don't know by name, it's no shade. Salute to you as well. But we did this. We did this, but there's a caveat. We will not have a Black woman senator. And that is
that's
an
ridiculous.
abomination to me. So the last thing I said, you didn't ask me, but what I will say is I'm looking to the Democratic Party to find one of these old ass white men senators to not run for reelection
Mm.
and get us a black woman. To me, I'm eyeing Blumenthal in Connecticut. Please step aside. You about to be 80 something. Go ahead, step aside and let Johanna Hayes run for Senate. And other places, we need to build that pipeline because it is completely unacceptable from the Democratic Party to have a situation where Black women have carried the load in the general election and in these runoffs, and we have no representation.
I was very disappointed in Gavin Newsom. Very disappointed in Gavin Newsom. And that, I mean, I was just disappointed in that.
Yeah,
Go ahead, David.
yeah. Let me push back on that real quick, Clay. But so in terms of everything Reese is saying, Reese's
Okay,
like, of
come on.
course he's going to
I'm
push
ready
back
for the
on
push.
It's
that.
okay.
Yeah,
I'm ready for you.
right.
What's
No,
up?
no. So of course, as a nonpartisan, you know, I'm not. It's, you know, I'm not going to put the we in there. But in terms of evaluating the Democrats' performance in the presidential and these two Georgia specials, here's where I'm mostly in line with what Reese is saying. It is a combination of factors, and Democrats have a lot to look forward to on that point. They figured out that it's candidate selection. Ossoff and Warnock were both strong candidates who knew how to run the race for their state, who kept it upbeat while also trying to, you know, talk about some hard truths to constituents and voters. It was organizing Stacey Abrams et al., who registered voters, who did it piece by piece. And it's also a recognition that for Democrats, the Sun Belt is fertile ground for them. It skips over Mississippi and Alabama, but Georgia skipped to Texas, New Mexico, Arizona. That's there for Democrats. Texas wasn't quite there this time. I think it will be in 2024. That's my own assessment. Here's where I'm pushing back on the black woman not being in the Senate now. Kamala Harris was the only black woman in the Senate. She was elevated to, as you said, the most powerful woman in America, vice president. To me, that's how it should work if you're a Democrat. And I think from the point of view of Gavin Newsom, this may not be popular. California is 40% Latino, has never had a Latino member of the US Senate. I just think it made sense from a representation point of view for Newsom to appoint a Latino. I'm not saying Padilla was the guy, yes or no, but Padilla is, I believe, Mexican American, a state that's 40% Latino. It seemed logical to me. Maybe people disagree on that.
Go ahead, Reese.
Thank you. I've heard all the arguments. I've heard all the arguments.
No,
But
sure.
here's the thing. It's keeping black women whole. We're not even getting anything extra out of the situation. We had a black woman. Now we have zero. Okay.
Right.
And in terms of representation, I understand. But Kevin De Leon lost to Dianne Feinstein. Linda Sanchez lost to Kamala Harris. It wasn't like there were options. Okay. So it's
Right.
not, you can't really sit up there and say, okay, well, nope, y'all haven't voted. So let's take away the seat from the black woman and put somebody in there to get representation when that leaves our constituency with zero representation, a constituency that was voted in because they voted for Kamala Harris and she had a 6-year term. So I pushed back on that because now you have, and I think that I don't think that we should have to trade off with the Latinos and the blacks and the Asians or whatever else. But why is it that black women have to trade off? You get one position at a time. Okay, you have a step ladder. I don't agree with that either. So at the end of the day, when Barack Obama went into the presidency, you had Roland Burns. Now he didn't run, so that didn't stay black, but that's on that. All Gavin had to do was keep us whole. Dianne Feinstein, she too old. She need to go ahead and retire. She wanted Padilla. Cool, Dianne, step aside for Padilla in that case. That's not going to happen. When she step aside, it's probably going to be a white woman. It's probably not going to be a black woman. This was our chance to at least stay whole and give us a pipeline, work on some candidates for 2022. But I don't appreciate our seat being taken and told to go wait in the back of the bus until another seat up front opens. Kamala Harris is I'm team ride or die Kamala. That's my girl.
Right.
But I don't think it should only just be one. And I'm not satisfied with just saying, now you're a VP, cool, we have our one powerful black woman. We need to have a pipeline of powerful black women because black women are powering the Democratic Party.
No question.
I think, well, let me just say this though, but
Yeah.
I think what's really important to me is, of course, I believe in Latin folks being represented.
Yeah.
But the crucial thing for me though, is that it is clear that black women are the backbone of the Democratic Party. And what is abhorrent to me is we've only had 2 black women senators throughout history. Now, I know there haven't been a lot of Latin women senators. I understand that. But the backbone for decades and decades and decades. So for me, JUSTFORME, just for me, I felt like it was deeply disappointing that we now have no black women in the Senate. So that's I hear where Reese's coming from with that.
I hear where Reese's coming from. I hear where you're coming from. I don't disagree with the disappointment. And if you look at the nation as a whole, that there are no black women in the Senate is shameful. And if you look at the Democratic Party as a whole, as you're pointing out, Clay, if black women are the backbone, the most loyal constituency of the Democratic Party, that should be factored into the situation. I agree completely with that. But when I look at just California and I see a state that is 40% Latino and 6 or 7% black, and I look at the decision that Governor Newsom was making there, I mean, he could have appointed himself, right? I just think that if you're talking about demographics, picking a Latino made sense. That's
well,
just
I would be okay.
Can I make one more quick point?
Sure. Go ahead.
One more quick point is, if Democrats are trying to win those Sunbelt states, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, I mean, they got New Mexico, but Texas, Arizona, winning Latinos, and another time we'll discuss that Latinos are not a monolithic group.
They're very different.
Right. But winning Latinos in the Southwest, I think appointing a Latino in California helps you next time in Texas, because you can say to voters there, Democrats take Mexican American voters, Latino voters seriously.
Well, I mean, so my thing is, I hear you as far as the demographics, but the thing is, there was already a black woman as the senator. So regardless of the demographics, Senator Kamala Harris was already there, right? So we already had a black woman as a senator. So to your point, as far as making sure that demographic is being respected and honored, I'm totally for that. But I'm with Reese. Let Dianne Feinstein, let her resign and put in the right person. But there was already a black woman there.
Yeah, no,
I just think for me, it's disappointing. It's disappointing because, with all due respect, to be honest with you, the word Latino is very complicated because you have Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Ecuadorians, whatever. But in that number, in that voting block, sadly, it isn't the same kind of support for the Democratic Party.
No, not at all. more than 30% of Latinos, and I'm doing air quotes, people at home, more than 30% of Latinos voted for Trump versus less than 10, about around 10%, the number escaped my head, of black people voted for Trump. So no, I understand.
So considering that there was already, ain't like it was a Latin person there and then we're replacing it with a black woman. It was already a black woman there, up in there. So that's where I'll give you a final comment on that, Reese. Then we have to go to these calls. They're waiting to talk.
Thank you. Final comment. This is about a debt that's owed. When white evangelicals put their Trump or their whoever in the office, they get their judges, right? Politics is transactional. And only when it comes to black people, and especially when it comes to black women, we don't get our debts paid. We got our debts paid somewhat with VP Kamala Harris.
Putting Kamala Harris on the ticket was part of paying that debt that you're referring to.
But that's a partial payment. That's a partial payment.
Well,
but
you don't
then
get everything you want in one election.
but then you placed another bet that, okay, so now you done placed another bet. We don't have to keep you whole. All we have to do is just change the people around on the chessboards without ever giving you more. The thing about Kamala being VP, or a black woman being VP, was we deserve more representation, not a net zero. And now when you talk about the Senate specifically, we're at a loss. No other demographic lost in this situation. We have an additional black man. I love it. I am saluting Reverend Warnock. We have the first Jewish senator from the state of Georgia, and then black women are asked out. And that's what I'm saying. We're the only ones that don't get our debts paid. Just because you give us one doesn't mean that our debt is settled. It's not settled. We were not kept whole. We were already there. We had already earned that spot. That was not a charity spot. Kamala Harris made history in that spot. And now we have to start from zero again. And the last time, it took 16 years to get a Kamala Harris, to get number 2. So what I'm saying is, all right, y'all done screwed us. Now you have a debt to pay. So Richard Blumenthal retire, Dick Durbin, when you up, retire. Get some black people that can run. I'm not saying that they'll necessarily win 100%, but invest in us. And if we're gonna lose, let us lose like how white men lose, and Sarah Gideon and Teresa Greenfield and all them other folks and MJ Hager, they all lost. So let us lose if we're gonna lose, but give us a chance to win like Raphael Warnock did and John Ossoff did. That's what I'm saying. Pay us the debt that you owe us, because we're not whole right now.